The cost of the final 15 minutes. There's no voicemail in heaven, only silence. If you didn't pick up in time. Every day we send well wishes. Stay healthy, be safe, take care of yourself. But very few of us ask the harder question. What is the cost of silence when someone you love is reaching the final moments of their life? In the United States, over 7,500 older adults pass away each day. According to the CDC, more than 40% of them die alone. No final goodbye, no last hug. Just silence and an absence that never quite leaves. Not because their families didn't love them, but because someone was in a meeting. This isn't some distant tragedy, it's a pattern, a quiet cycle. It happens every day in thousands of hospital rooms across America, and no one ever thinks it will happen to them. Today, I want to share a story with you, not to make you cry, not to make you feel guilty, but to remind you, some choices take just 15 minutes and leave behind a regret that never fades. Daniel, 45 years old, a successful executive, fully booked calendar, corner office, confident voice. But the one voice he didn't answer in time was his mother's. A missed call at 7:03 a.m., the moment that changed everything. Thursday morning, late spring, just another ordinary day. Daniel stood at the kitchen island in his high-rise apartment in Chicago, coffee in hand, eyes scanning a PowerPoint deck for his 8:00 a.m. presentation. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows. His suit was pressed, shoes polished, smartwatch blinking. He was ready. The phone buzzed. "Incoming call, Mom." He glanced at the screen. His finger hovered. 1 second, 2. "She probably just wants to check in," he mumbled. And he didn't answer. Instead, he hit silence and said out loud, "I'll call her back after the meeting." A moment later, a text arrived. "Just wanted to hear your voice this morning. No rush. Love you." Daniel smiled just a little, then slipped the phone into his pocket. The elevator dinged. Time to go. That meeting lasted 42 minutes. His mother had less than 5 hours left to live. A mother who never asked for anything. Sarah, Daniel's mother, was a gentle woman. Not highly educated, not loud, never one to complain. She spent her entire life giving, and never once asked for anything in return. She lived alone in a small home on the outskirts of Wisconsin. Each morning she made her own tea, watered her plants, and wrote in her journal. Her life was simple, predictable. But for Sarah, every phone call from her son was a special day. The last time Daniel visited was over 7 months ago. He arrived just before lunch, ate the meal she cooked in a hurry, talked for maybe 2 hours, then headed for the station. She walked him to the door, still smiling, still patting his shoulder, still reminding him, "Keep warm, okay? Don't work too late." And as Daniel got into the taxi, he glanced back in the rearview mirror. He saw her standing at the door waving, just like she did when he was a child. The only difference was, he didn't wave back. Sarah was the kind of mother who never asked, "Why haven't you come home?" Who never said, "I miss you." She just sent quiet texts on special days. "You have a presentation today, right? Wishing you luck. Don't skip breakfast, it's getting colder." Her messages were like breath, soft, steady, never demanding a reply. There are mothers like that, who love deeply but never loudly, who wait, who care, who gently shrink themselves so their children can chase their dreams without guilt. If Daniel came home late, she never complained. If Daniel went silent, she didn't blame him. If Daniel forgot her birthday, she would still text, "Thank you for the call. Hearing your voice made my day." Even though in truth he hadn't called, she just comforted herself with that small pretend memory because she understood her son was busy. She didn't want to bother him. But what Sarah didn't know was that on the very last time she called, Daniel saw it. He just didn't pick up in time. 8 a.m. meeting, and the call he never got to return. The 8 a.m. meeting went exactly like all the others. Daniel walked into the boardroom with steady steps. On the screen, the new quarterly marketing strategy, a presentation he had spent 2 weeks perfecting. In his hand, a neat stack of notes. On his wrist, an Apple Watch gently buzzing to confirm his heart rate was steady. He spoke for 30 minutes, Each slide flipped, each sentence smooth like a machine running on script. Colleagues nodded, the boss nodded, and Daniel smiled. Only after returning to his office did he finally check his phone. 6 missed calls, all from one number, his younger sister. Then a text, "Call me back now. Mom's in the ER. Doctors say there's not much time." Daniel froze, his hand clenched around the phone. His heart thudded against his ribs. Cold sweat soaked into the back of his suit. He stood, didn't explain, just said, "I'm sorry, I have a family emergency." The car sped through the streets. Daniel stared at the clock, searched for the earliest flight back to Wisconsin. There was one at 9:40. He booked it, called a cab, rushed to the airport, cleared security, pushed through the crowds. Then, the announcement. Flight delayed, 45 minutes. Daniel sat at gate 12, staring, empty. Inside him, something twisted like memories being snapped in half. All he wanted at that moment was to hear her say, "You made it, sweetheart." But the phone never rang again. And for the first time, Daniel felt the one thing he had spent a lifetime outrunning. The fear of losing his mother, not when she died, but when he wasn't there to see her go. Text from his sister, "Mom is fading." The flight landed at 11:12 a.m. Daniel practically leapt from his seat first to stand in the business class cabin. No checked bags, just a carry-on with an extra shirt and his laptop. His phone buzzed as he stepped onto the escalator. A message from his sister. "The doctors say Mom is getting weaker. If you want to see her one last time, it has to be today." Daniel hit call. His voice came out hoarse. "Is she still awake?" A pause, then she said your name, then drifted off again. "I don't know if she'll wake up." The taxi raced down streets Daniel had known since childhood. The trees lining both sides of the road were just beginning to turn at the edge of summer. It should have been beautiful, but all Daniel saw was white noise in his mind. The world outside moved like a fast-forwarded film. Only time was moving cruelly slow. He looked at his watch, 12:34 p.m. Just 8 more minutes from the airport to the hospital. But somehow, every red light today seemed longer than usual. In his heart, every scenario began to play. She'll open her eyes, I'll hold her hand, I'll get to say something. Anything. Just 1 second to hold her hand. Just 1 sentence. "Mom, I'm here. I'm sorry." Just one final look so he wouldn't have to carry a lifetime of almost. 12:43 p.m. Daniel burst through the ER entrance. A staff member stopped him. "Excuse me, sir, who are you here to see?" "I'm Sarah's son. I need to see my mother right now." The nurse glanced at her chart. Her eyes softened. "I'm so sorry. She passed 11 minutes ago." Daniel stood there, didn't shout, didn't cry. Just exhaled like a building collapsing inward on itself. He entered the room. She was already covered with a white sheet. The machines were off. No more rhythmic beeping. No oxygen hiss. Just silence, the kind she had always lived with. Not bothering anyone, not making noise, not letting the world know she had been fading. On the small table beside the bed was her old phone. The screen was lit. A text message still unfinished. "Sweetheart, I'm wait..." The sentence never made it. Just like the love she gave all her life, quiet, constant, and never fully answered. The empty room. Room 309 sat at the end of the 3rd-floor hallway. It looked just like every other hospital room, pale gray walls, beige curtains, harsh white lighting. But to Daniel, it wasn't a room. It was a period, a full stop. No more breath. No more nurse footsteps, no more quiet coughing from an aging mother. Just absence. So still it made sound feel intrusive. Daniel stepped inside. The bed still held a trace of warmth. The blanket had been folded. The IV line removed, neatly coiled, as if she'd simply gone out for a walk or stepped out to the market. Not forever. He placed his hand on the edge of the bed, cold. A small note was left on the table. Room cleaned. Patient discharged at 12:32. Attending nurse. Daniel sat down. In the chair his mother had leaned against just that morning while waiting for her blood pressure to be taken. There was nothing on the wall except a round clock. 12:56 p.m. He pulled out his phone, opened the last text she never got to send. "Sweetheart, I'm way." Each letter hit his chest like a knock that would never stop echoing. No final word, no punctuation, no closure. Just silence. Daniel looked up. This room, no longer the place where his mother once rested, had become a monument. A silent witness to a missed presence that could have saved a life from living with regret. And he, a man who had stood in boardrooms, spoken to hundreds, commanded attention, now sat in an empty room and had no idea what to say to whom or why. The empty chair at the dinner table. The old house sat on a tree-lined street, 2 stories, cream-colored paint, a white picket fence, and bougainvillea still climbing across the front porch. Everything looked exactly the same, except the person who once lived inside was no longer there. Daniel opened the door with the old key. The hinges creaked with that familiar sound. A soft scent greeted him: menthol rubs, sun-dried orange peels, clean fabric washed by hand. On the dining table was the red and white checkered tablecloth his mother had used for over 20 years. And there it was, one empty chair. Her chair. Daniel sat across from it, no lights on, no TV. Just the daylight filtering in at an angle through the window. The vase she always refilled each morning was dry now. The flowers curled and brown. He looked around. Her ceramic mug still stained with tea. The hand-woven placemat laid neatly under a plate. The fridge still held 3 frozen soup containers with handwritten labels. A note on the fridge door: "Save for Daniel, your favorite." He opened the bottom cabinet, found a small box wrapped in pale blue paper. No card, no name, but he knew it was for his birthday, next week. That was when Daniel broke, for the first time since his mother passed. Not because she was gone, but because he realized she had never stopped thinking of him. Not in her meals, not in her sleep, not even in the future she knew she wouldn't live to see. The empty chair wasn't just the absence of a person. It was the absence of a love that had always been present in all the quiet places he never noticed when it was still there. Daniel placed his hand on the back of the chair, rested his head on the table, in silence. No words were needed, no audience, just a son sitting beside an empty chair. Finally realizing he had been too late, I meets Daniel at the church. The memorial was held on a quiet Sunday afternoon in a small church at the end of the street. The same one Daniel's mother used to attend every week. There was no choir, no extravagant flowers, just the soft hum of an old organ, a flicker of candlelight, and a group of familiar faces saying goodbye with reverent saunt. Daniel sat in the third pew. Black suit, gray tie, eyes sunken from sleepless nights. He didn't hold a speech, didn't want to speak. He just wanted to be there at last, in the place he should have come sooner. Across the aisle, a quiet man sat alone. No one really noticed him. Linen shirt, dark canvas shoes, stillness that belonged more to funerals than to celebrations. After the service, as people filtered out one by one, Daniel remained seated. That's when Bon walked over softly, unforced, without expectation. He sat beside Daniel. No greeting, no condolences, just silence. The kind of silence only someone experienced in grief knows how to carry without making it heavier. After a moment, Bon asked, "If you had 10 more minutes with her, what would you do?" Daniel didn't answer right away. His eyes were red but not overflowing. Then he replied, his voice dry, barely there. "I wouldn't say anything. No apologies, no explanations. I'd just hold her hand, sit next to her, Sue, and let her know that I came home." Bon nodded. Didn't say more. He simply handed Daniel a small slip of paper. No header, no sender, just one line. Sometimes being present even late is enough to begin something new. Daniel took it, folded it gently, tucked it into the inside pocket of his jacket, as if holding on to the last remnant of forgiveness from someone who never once blamed him, even when he wasn't there at the moment she needed him most. Mother's journal. She only needed you to call. Daniel returned to his mother's house on a quiet afternoon with light rain falling outside. He stepped inside, didn't turn on the lights, let the soft gray of the sky filter in through the windows. Everything was still the same, as if she were somewhere in the kitchen chopping vegetables, adding salt, waiting for the water to boil. He walked into her bedroom. The closet was still neat, the bed carefully made. And on the nightstand beside a bottle of senior vitamins was a brown leather notebook. Daniel opened it. On the first page, her handwriting. Gentle, slightly slanted. A small notebook for the days when I'm no longer here. What followed wasn't structured, not daily, not even regular. Just fragments, slices of time from his mother's quiet world. February. Colder than usual this year. Daniel's busy. He hasn't come home, but I'm sure work is going well. As long as he's okay, I'm at peace. He called today, 15 seconds. I didn't get to say much, but just hearing his voice made my whole day. Daniel forgot my birthday, but I understand. I was young once too. I forgot things. I just hope he stays healthy and sleeps more. Chest pain tonight, didn't tell anyone, don't want to worry him. I'm sure I'll feel better tomorrow. I'm strong. Daniel flipped to the last pages. His hands shook slightly as the writing grew uneven, the ink faint and smudged. Not sure if I'll see him this new year. I'll make his favorite dish anyway. If he doesn't come, it's okay. I'm used to it. If I had one wish, it would be to see him again. Not for any reason, just to hear him say Mom, just once. Daniel closed the notebook, placed his hand gently on the leather cover, silent for a long time. He didn't know when the tears had started. Only that something inside him was opening, not from sorrow but from a love that had never asked for anything. His mother never expected him to do more, to be more. She only ever wanted one thing. Call me while you still can, a letter to someone who's no longer here. Daniel sat at his mother's old desk. The desk lamp flickered on with a soft click as if it had waited for her hand to return one last time. In front of him was a blank sheet of paper and the fountain pen she used to write down utility bills each month. He didn't write immediately. He just breathed in as if preparing for a conversation he had avoided all his life. Then he began, "Dear Mom, I don't know where to start. There are too many things I should have said when you could still hear them. But I didn't. I'm sorry for putting work above being present. I'm sorry I believed there would be another time. I'm sorry for forgetting that you wouldn't always be there waiting like I always assumed you would be. When I opened your journal, every word felt like a blade. Not because you blamed me, but because you never did. That's what hurt most. But Mom, if there's any way you can still hear what I can't say aloud, just know this: I love you. I've always loved you. I just didn't know how to show it. I'll live differently now. I won't let anyone else leave this world wondering if they mattered. You taught me the most costly lesson by leaving, and I promise I won't waste it. You can rest now. This time I'm really here. Daniel. Daniel folded the letter. He didn't seal it, didn't mail it, just placed it beside her photo on the altar by the window. Then he lit incense. The smoke rose slowly, a single thread between two worlds, carrying a message once unsaid. To someone who never truly left. Calling back your sister, your son, your past. The next morning, Daniel woke up in his mother's house. For the first time in years, he didn't check his email. Didn't open his calendar, didn't read the news. He just sat, sipped the tea his mother used to love, and watched sunlight filter through the curtains like a breath from memory. He opened his contacts list, scrolled through names, the same names he had passed over too many times, faster than a spam message. Hannah's sister. He tapped call. Hey, it's me, Daniel. I'm sorry, I should have come sooner. I should have listened to you. I'm not angry, Mom wasn't either, but I'm really glad you called. Daniel smiled. For the first time, something lifted from his chest. Ben's 19-year-old son, they hadn't had a proper conversation in over 3 months. Hey, it's Dad, you busy? I just wanted to hear your voice. Are you okay? Ben asked. Yeah, I want to start again, if you'll let me. A pause. Then, you know what, Dad, I've been waiting for you to say that for a long time. Anna, the one who got away, the relationship didn't end because of betrayal. It ended because Daniel had been too busy to be present. He sent a message after 4 years of silence. I'm not texting to start anything again. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for all the times you needed me and I wasn't there. And thank you for loving someone who didn't know how to balance what really mattered. She didn't reply, not right away, but Daniel didn't need her to. This time he had spoken while he still could. He wrote down a short list. 5 people I made wait. 5 people I want to call back. 5 people still alive so I can say something kind. And he called, one by one. No poetry, no justification. Just presence. Real enough. late enough to feel serious. The first slow meal in 20 years. That afternoon, Daniel stepped into the kitchen. No recipe from the internet, no cooking videos, just memory guided by scent, taste, and something deeper, love. He scooped rice, rinsed it by hand, soaked the dried mushrooms his mother used to simmer in soup, washed green vegetables, sliced tofu, chopped scallions, and suddenly the kitchen had sound again. The bubbling of boiling water, the rhythm of knife on cutting board, the soft click of a pot lid like breath regaining rhythm after years of holding still. Daniel didn't cook much, just one bowl of white rice, a simple sour soup, braised tofu, the dish his mother once taught him when he was 12, but he'd never made again. He set the table, 2 bowls, one in front of him, the other placed at the empty chair where she used to sit. He sat down, no music, no phone, no photos, just eating, slowly, deliberately. He tasted the soft heat of pepper, the tang of tamarind, the earthy tofu, and for the first time in his life it tasted like more than just food. Not because it was better, but because he was fully present in the moment. When the meal ended, he didn't clear the table right away. He leaned back, watched the golden light of sunset pour across the tabletop. No urgency, no mental to-do list, just stillness rare and generous after nearly 20 years of running non-stop. Daniel looked at the chair across from him, still empty, but this time it didn't feel so cold. Because he understood, some forms of love become most visible when we finally slow down enough to feel them, even when the one who gave that love is no longer here. Presence is the greatest gift. 1 month after his mother's funeral, Daniel was invited to speak at a conference titled Work-Life Balance: Finding the Human in Productivity. The stage was simple, just a wooden podium under warm yellow lighting. Daniel stepped up, no PowerPoint, no bullet points, no slides, just a folded piece of paper in his breast pocket, and a story he had never shared. He began, "I used to think success meant never missing a meeting, that it meant answering emails on time, arriving 5 minutes before the boss, leaving an hour after everyone else. But I was wrong, because there was one meeting I didn't show up for, and the one who called it was my mother. There were no slides, just one sentence. I just wanted to hear your voice this morning, and I didn't answer. That day she died, while I was presenting our Q2 marketing strategy. By the time I arrived, everything was already over. The room went silent, no keyboard clicks, no one checking their phones. Just a collective stillness from people who suddenly realized they'd been racing past the most important thing in their lives." Daniel continued, "I'm not here to tell you to slow down or to love harder. I'm just here to say this. If there's someone in your life who still needs you, show up. Not perfectly, not on schedule. Just be there, because presence is the greatest gift we will ever give each other." No one stood right away, no applause, no rush. People held hands. An older man stepped out and made a phone call. A young woman opened her phone, typed one message to her mom. "I love you, that's all." And Daniel. He stepped off the stage, walked outside, and took a long breath under the golden afternoon sun. For the first time in a very long while, he didn't feel late anymore, because he was living and he was present. Dear friend, if you've stayed with us all the way until this moment, I believe something inside you is quietly stirring. Maybe it's a call you haven't returned, a word you wish you hadn't said, an embrace you haven't given back since the last time. And if that person has come to mind just now, please don't wait until things feel better, less busy, or more convenient, because the people who truly need us don't need the perfect version of us. They just need us present. Today, right now, even if it's just a message, a look, a quiet, ordinary word like, "Mom, I'm Bon, and I believe these real stories aren't just meant to be told. They're here to remind you to return. Return to what matters. Return to someone who's still waiting to be seen." If today's story made you pause even for just one breath, send it to the person you thought of while listening. And don't forget to follow the Life After 60. So each day you'll have one quiet moment to breathe in a world that rarely stops. Because here we don't tell stories to entertain you. We tell them to bring you back to life. Until next time, in another story that might feel a little bit like yours. And if you can, call your mother tonight.